everyone, and welcome back to Shifting Tones, a podcast with nerdy tones and shifting formats. This is the sound station across the nation, and I am welcomed with my two wonderful, amazing co-hosts, Lorissa.
Hiya.
And Steph.
Hiya.
Oh, just slightly higher than Larissa.
Ooh.
Insert laugh track. Guys, last time you were on the show, you were discussing your book that was just coming out called You, Me, and Shifting Tones. How's that going for you guys?
Well, I went to
Fantastic.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thanks.
No, I'm just kidding. That's not what we do here. We don't do book talk. We don't do interviews yet. Yeah, a lot of people keep trying to get on the podcast for interviews. A lot of famous people. I had to turn down Neil deGrasse Tyson, LeBron James.
Really?
Chris Evans. Yeah, it's a long list.
I had no idea they reached out to you, but I do have certain friends that have been interested in talking about books and or tagging along. So maybe one day we'll get you on the podcast, guys.
Yeah, I don't know how to read, so I would step away for that one and let you guys have a fun book talk episode.
Mm-hmm.
I know a couple friends who would be really into that. But anyways, enough about our friends. Let's talk about you guys, our true friends. I'm kidding. No, everybody's a friend.
Whoa.
I'm kidding. Steph, how you doing? What's going on? What's the haps? Give me the small talk.
I'm good and bad, but
Oh.
I'm not gonna talk about the bad.
I don't know about the bad.
We're just gonna talk about the good.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had a holiday work party. I know we talked about that last podcast of like our holiday work party, but this was like my actual work holiday party.
Oh, you mean your pseudo work holiday party? So this is your real gig right here.
True.
This is where you're making the millions.
It was all right. My actual, like, the coworkers that I went with went, so it was a little more fun because we all sat together. But it was, and then my husband went. Yeah, it was just kind of like the four of us in a booth, so it went really well.
Nice.
It was at a restaurant?
It was at a Mexican restaurant, so
nice.
What?
we all spoke Spanish with each other.
That's
just
great.
at the whole table and like with the servers, and then my husband was just there. Like he could pick up on a little bit, what was being said, but we switched back and forth between English and Spanish quite a bit. But it was it was nice. It was a fun time.
That would be really funny if like the waitress came over and it's just like this 16-year-old white girl and you're speaking fluent Spanish and she's like, you want a margarita? I'm confused.
It is funny because anytime I go to a Mexican restaurant, I will always order in Spanish.
That's funny.
And then sometimes they'll look at me and be like, what? Like, sometimes they don't care. Sometimes they will ask like, oh, you speak Spanish? And I'll be like, yeah. So it is quite funny being, that white girl.
Exactly.
It's like those videos of like the white guy that goes like to Chinese restaurants or over into China and he can speak fluent Mandarin and Cantonese.
Oh, wow.
They're just blown away. And some of like other small dialects, like
That's impressive.
Well,
no, I know who you're talking about. I always love those videos because that just is so impressive to me.
Right. I'm like, I wish I was a human like translator. That'd be awesome.
The other thing was the next day we had a little bit of a date, me and my husband.
Oh.
We went to a hockey game.
What?
That's right.
Like a professional one?
A good old NHL hockey game.
That's so fun. How did the team do? Did they do good? Did they win?
They made it to overtime. I mean, it was tied like 3-3 the whole time, and then right in overtime they lost. Apparently, for overtime in hockey, it just is. It plays until the first whoever scores first wins.
Okay.
So you can't even get a comeback. So it's like, oh, okay, it's over. Like it was over so quickly, and I was like, oh, it was just such a letdown. But it was a good game regardless. It was fun. We made it to overtime, so that was always a exciting moment.
Absolutely.
That's probably because though it takes so long to score a goal sometimes in hockey.
True.
Like it's like soccer where it's like, oh, a high score is like 4 points, you know.
What?
Yeah. So in soccer, like they hardly ever score like 3 or 4 points in a game.
Oh,
sometimes games are decided by like a point, like 1-0.
I get what you're saying. I was like, I thought you were saying each goal is worth like 4.
Oh.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Steph, you not know the hockey rules. Each goal is 7.65 points, okay? But if they get a little bit of extra ice in there with the puck, each flake is counted as half a point.
Oh, for flair?
Yeah, for flair mostly, yeah.
But it was really cool because we went for it was like teacher appreciation week or day or night or whatever they called it. But I got a special discount. So we were 10 seats back from the rink.
What? That's so close.
It was super awesome.
That's
so it's
really
like
fun.
I was like, I could see the guys like so clear. I was like, this is crazy.
That's really cool.
It was really neat.
I was gonna say, could you see the ice shavings come up and everything too?
Oh yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And you could see like when they slammed in the glass, like it wasn't near us, like our section, but there was one where it was definitely you could see everything. So that was really cool. And then just because I was like a teacher and we bought the tickets, it was like also buy one get one free for the seats.
Nice.
That's a steal for professional hockey.
Yeah, that's why we went lower, because we were like, well, we might as well. It's closer, and then it's worth it then. But they had a deal where if we signed a little waiver, we got to shoot a puck on the ice.
No way!
Yeah,
that's
and you could
cool.
And you could actually use the sticks
from
the professional players.
That's super cool.
Oh my god!
We went down. Yeah.
Accomplished a dream of mine. I don't know if you knew that, but it's definitely on the bucket list for me to like participate in one of those like halftime shows where they do little like games.
It wasn't
things.
It was after the show.
Anytime during any professional game when they're bringing people out on the court, I want to be a part of that one day.
And they haven't asked you to sing the national anthem at the Super Bowl yet?
Oh god, my voice would be cracking all over the place. No, but let me know next time, Larissa. And if there's another educator night, I will let you know then.
That's so exciting.
Because
I don't have the ties like Steph does.
Dude, it was pretty fun. So we went on the ice. They put down little carpets, and you just have your shoes. It's not like they're giving you gear.
What?
There was probably like a good 1,000 people that stayed afterwards to like shoot. So they had to go quickly. There was six total, 3 on each end. So they were like, okay, choose a goal, go down. But they hand you the puck, or they have the puck on the ground because there's like assistants, not the actual players. No players were out there, but like just assistants, people holding pucks and directing people and making sure it's like, okay, your one shot's done. I go to hold the puck, or not the puck, the stick. And my God, when you think of a hockey stick, you think a straight stick and the bottom of it is flat, right? So you can hit it.
It's curved.
Debatable.
Oh, you didn't know hockey sticks at the end were curved?
Well, okay, maybe a little bit, but this one was like a C.
Yeah.
The letter C.
The only reason I know, Steph, in your defense, I would have assumed that as well, but I had a childhood friend that used to play hockey, so I was well acquainted with their gear.
Okay.
My IQ is above 5, so I knew.
No, Sam.
I'm kidding.
But because like in my elementary school, when I played field hockey, when I learned about field hockey, we had straight little sticks.
Of course.
So in my head, I'm like, okay, it's going to be like that. No, it was curved like a C, and it made shooting the puck hard. I missed, my husband missed, but at least we missed together.
That's right. Couples who miss together stay together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was definitely like just a fun, different experience, and it was fun to go on the ice. I mean, I sneakily put my shoe on the ice outside of the carpet just to feel the ice.
Rebel!
Yeah, what a rebel.
But I was like, I gotta touch the ice.
I don't think any cops listen to this podcast, but be careful,
God, I hope not. Well, those were my goods, and that's all I did.
Okay, well, those are some pretty good highlights.
Yeah, that was good highlights.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
What about you, Liz? What's your small talk? Were you on the ice? Were you at Mexican restaurants?
I was not at a Mexican restaurant, but I did get a lot of fast food this weekend.
No, unfortunately,
Yeah, so that's usually what happens when I do my biggest show of the year, the Christmas Spectacular, where our entire weekend is dedicated to this show, because Saturday the show runs from 10 to 9, and then Sunday it runs from 10 to 4. So there's not really a lot of time to be cooking and preparing meals and that sort of thing, unless you wanted to.
I didn't realize it was a double day.
Yeah, it's
the first 11 hours the first day.
Wow.
And let me tell you, this place, it used to be an old factory warehouse back in the day, where like they definitely were like manufacturing like parts for some sort. I couldn't tell you what, but the basement has radiators along the wall, and this system has not been fixed since the building was probably built in the 20s. So it was a sauna.
I was like easily 80 degrees with like thousands of people walking through all day.
Yeah.
But would you rather
absolutely.
be hot like that in winter or cold?
Cold.
Really?
Honestly.
cold.
Oh,
Yeah.
With cold,
Okay.
I can put on layers and bundle up. I could bring a blanket,
Okay.
a space heater. I'm good. With
Yeah.
the heat in there's nothing you can do.
There was no escape, especially with like all the people. And thank goodness it was a really well attended show. And that made me really happy. And I did really well. But I hope, yeah, I don't think there's going to be a way for them to fix the heating situation unless they literally redo the HVAC for the entire building. And like I said, this building was probably built in the 20s, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. But it's a really cool space. The event was at a studio space, and they also had different artist galleries that you can walk around in. And luckily, I have my good partner here, Sam, who lets me escape the table every once in a while, and I get to walk in and see all the different galleries and all the different people with their booths and things. So
yeah, I undo her chains for a little bit, and she gets to walk off from the table.
Absolutely. Honestly, sometimes when you do these kind of shows, especially if it's so busy like this, it does kind of feel like you're chained to the table. And a lot of the times you get like 6 inches of space in between the tables to like get in and out. So like if you're going out, that's a decision you have to make, like, because you're not going to go back in right away.
And most of the people that come to these shows are single people, like that have to have usually, well, some of the bigger shows, there's always like attendants that can come and sit at your booth for you and walk so you can go use the restroom and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was my question. Like, how do you use the bathroom?
No, this one's like ran by one person. There are some people that will come over and ask if you want food that work at the little food stations. Other than that, it's just like get up and leave your booth, and hopefully your neighbor's watching, and you can be like, yeah, they'll be right back.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that was my entire weekend. So today, shocker, we don't record on the same day we upload the podcast. I don't know if you guys knew that, audience, but I took the day to catch up on all the little chores and things that we did not do over the weekend because it was so busy. So it's been a nice catch up day. I also slept in. Sweet Jesus, that was nice. And rested here and there. So that was my weekend.
Yeah. My weekend consisted of Lorissa's weekend.
It sure did.
Because I helped out at the art show all weekend, but that was fun. I did get to play some new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies with some friends. Your husband abandoned us for you for some reason.
Yeah,
weird.
What the heck?
Yeah, to go play hockey in an NHL stadium or something like that.
And an office party.
And an office party.
Who
A
cares
bunch
about
of losers. But instead, since I don't have anything small talk wise, originally I was gonna joke with you, Steph, and text you. I'm like, hey, can we record the podcast on like Thursday at 3 p.m. Put out a later episode, because that's when you're seeing Sonic, right?
I am. So I would have been like, what? No. Do it yourself then. I won't be there.
That's so funny.
Oh, I'm going to be so excited to talk about that next time.
Oh, I know you are. That's going to be the whole episode, is the Sonic episode.
Probably my whole small talk will just be about the Sonic movie without spoiling it, but like just the experience.
Sure, absolutely.
I heard Sonic dies in this one.
Oh, whoa.
That's how he becomes golden Sonic. He actually dies and comes back.
Pre-spoilers, watch it.
Oh,
that's kind of how Goku becomes Super Saiyan Goku.
Oh, really?
Feels like what Sonic's based off of when he goes gold.
Isn't that
his thing, right? Golden Sonic? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he dies and then he comes back.
It's Super Sonic. Let's get something straight.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Super Saiyan, Super Sonic.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
Shocking. Okay. So for the Controversial Corner 2024, I only got 2 things today. I didn't have a lot of time to think about it again since the last episode. Very busy. Number one, something that my friends told me I should put in the Controversial Corner. I report clan tags and names in Call of Duty all the time.
You sure do.
I report so many people for offensive usernames and offensive clan tags, which I know sounds like the most like boomer joy buzzkill thing ever.
No, it's not.
But I would say 90% of the ones I report are MAGA or Trump ones, which is funny. Nothing's ever going to get banned from that, but I think it's funny to report them. But a lot of times it's like something racist or something hate speech or something homophobic or anti-trans or something, And so I report those, but I do report Trump ones and the MAGA ones. They don't call them a clan tag for a reason.
No, they don't. So I don't know. It's not a good look for you guys if you want to use it as your clan tag.
Wait, what's the controversial point?
Oh, is that how often I report it? Yeah, because everyone's like, oh, it's Call of Duty. You're killing people in the game and...
Let boys be boys.
Yeah, it's a boys space, just... Oh my God, the amount of times I get called, like, slurs
It's ridiculous.
by like a 14-year-old is insane. Ugh. But it does tell you every time you log on if your report's been like something's been done with it, like if they've taken action, which is funny. Yeah,
that is funny. Did you get those?
Every day a log on action has been taken.
Really? That's awesome. Well, that makes me happy that at least some justice was served. Gotta teach those boys something, you know?
I just watched a video today of a creator that talks about a lot of like Call of Duty zombie content, and his thing is like he's one of the bigger zombie creators, and he was surprised that like action has been taken to fix a lot of mistakes that are in the game, like bugs and everything that usually Treyarch or Call of Duty will just sweep under the rug and be like, it's not that big of a deal.
You paid for the game. We're gonna rake in our money. Just forget about making it a good game afterwards.
But they are actually fixing them actively, so that's cool.
That is awesome.
Number 2, this is controversial. There should be one social media. And I think not in like the sense of like, oh, this is like one that everybody uses, government funded, whatever, you know, like how it is. And like, isn't China have that like WeChat or whatever it's called?
Yeah, Weibo.
Yeah, whatever. I know countries have stuff like that, but I do think you can use whatever social media. Like if you still want to use Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, that's fine. I think there should be one social media. The perfect example of social media that should exist is MySpace.
Is Tumblr? Oh.
No, I think MySpace was better than Tumblr, because Tumblr was just like, here's all of my posts I've reblogged and shared and stuff like that. With MySpace, you had your own space. I know it sounds silly, MySpace, but like you could highlight some songs, some videos, your comments, your photos, your friends, and then you could also post on there. You can make posts, and
you're forgetting the most important part, though. You could customize.
Customize everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Your backgrounds, and I think that'd be really cool to bring back. And there probably is something like that exists. I know MySpace still exists in the sense of, I think, for like bands and stuff to use.
For networking, I think.
But I think there should be one. And I honestly think that it should be similar to Wikipedia, where it's completely publicly crowdfunded.
That'd be really cool, actually.
Then that way you don't have to worry about, Elon Musk controlling it or Jeff Bezos or the government or something like that. It's just one simplified social media network.
I could see that. I could see it. I don't think people would be on board, but...
That's the thing is, like, at the time when MySpace first came out, everybody was on MySpace. Or what was the other one? Yearbook or something like that?
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
I think there was something like that. It was like My Yearbook or something. It was to connect with old classmates. And then that was it. It was just MySpace for the most part. And that was social media. And then Facebook came along, and Twitter and Instagram and all those other things, and Snapchat and TikTok. But I mean, if you can do all the things you can do on those apps into one app where you have all this more customization, I think it's better. I don't know. That's my controversial hot take.
Well, I like it. Let's fund the one social media crowdfunded by everyone and make a true public square again on the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so there is no segue this week, because this week it's more not about how we're discussing things. It's more about theater of the mind.
Whoa.
Do you guys know what the definition of synesthesia is?
Is that like where you see colors with music?
Very similar,
Something
yes.
like that.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like the opposite of aphantasia, if you know what aphantasia is.
I do not.
So aphantasia is not being able to visualize things in your mind. So I was always under the impression that if you told me to think of an apple, I can, without closing my eyes or anything, I can just visualize an apple in my head. It's like I see it, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
There's an apple, and if you told me like take a bite out of the apple, I can imagine the crunch, the bite, the teeth marks, everything. And that's just, I thought everybody could do that, but some people can't, and that's called aphantasia. You can't imagine things. You don't have dreams. Your mind visually can't see things.
Yeah, and I heard it's also kind of a sliding scale of like, it's not just completely like I can see things or I can't. Like there are some in between. Yeah. But I just want to butt in real quick, because the reason I found out about this condition was I used to follow artists back in the day on YouTube. One of the YouTube creators that I watched said that she had aphantasia, and I was like, how do you create art then if you can't visualize and like rearrange things in your mind? And she explained it, and it was fascinating. She's like, yeah, I just use models and remaster it in a way, and then I just draw based off of what I see from my models. I'm like, that's wild. That's so like backwards to me.
Yeah.
The specific definition of synesthesia is when your brain routes sensory information through multiple unrelated senses, causing you to experience more than one sense simultaneously. So a neurological condition that causes people to experience one sense through another, essentially.
Interesting.
Okay.
So yeah, you're kind of right where music is colors. And that's kind of where we're going with this today. So since we are a nerdy podcast, it's not just anime, video games, movies. It's nerdy stuff in general, such as science and thinking and nerd stuff.
Pop psychology, some might say.
Absolutely. So we're going to do different versions of it, not just colors, but I want to talk to you guys about how you visualize things, and I want to discuss it because I think that's something I've always thought was fun. So I'm going to give you a couple examples. We'll see how many we get through. We'll start with some popular ones and work from there, and just discuss it. So the first one I want to talk about, this is one that's always in my head been a thing, and I don't know why, is the days of the week as colors. Do you guys associate the days of a week with colors?
Absolutely not.
No.
No, really? You've never thought about it? That's nothing you've ever...
No.
That's so weird, because I was like, okay, in my head, I can go through them for you real quick, is Monday is blue, Tuesday is red, Wednesday is green. Wednesday is always green. No matter who you ask, Wednesday is green. Thursday is brown. Friday is... What?
Why? She said why brown?
Why brown? I don't know. That's just how it's always been.
Okay,
Thursday's brown. Friday's orange. Saturday's black. And Sunday's yellow. And I don't know why.
That just sounds wrong.
I know. So, okay. So if it sounds wrong, what would... If you had to really think about it just for a second, you're like, oh, let me associate the days of the week with a color. Those are my colors.
Sure.
But I swear with everybody I've ever asked, Wednesday is green. It's just like...
What?
They go hand in hand. When you think of Wednesday, you think green.
Absolutely not. That's like the least likely color I would associate Wednesday with. What green seems something tranquil, something restful, like would have to fall on like a weekend day for me.
See, that makes sense. And I don't think I'm pairing those with that feeling. Maybe Sunday yellow, because like Sunday's a rest day. Like it's, I think of like, being outside or spending time with family. And it's like happy feeling, yellow. And then Monday you're blue. Like it's sad. But I've always pictured Monday as more of a sky blue.
Okay.
Than just navy blue or regular blue. So what colors would you associate? Well, Larissa, you seem to have an idea at least. Steph, think about it while Larissa is discussing hers.
I don't really have an association with those sort of things, but it makes me wonder, like, Steph and I were talking about this a little before the podcast started, where you had to take a little break, that she goes over the weekdays and makes sure to drill in, like, what day is Monday? What does this mean? And
when teaching, like when I teach my kids, I make sure we go over.
Steph just doesn't know what Monday is. What is Monday?
Yeah. With her students. Sorry, it was about a roundabout way of explaining that, but I almost wonder if like the colors you associated with are like the calendar that the teacher would have pointed out to be like, hey, this day of the week is Monday, and it just so happened to be blue, and then Wednesday was
like
green.
Just depending on what aesthetic the teacher has for their calendars, maybe you could associate it.
100% possibility that was a thing. Like somewhere in preschool, like it was blasted up on big colorful letters on the wall.
Absolutely.
And it's just something that's stuck in my head forever. I have no idea. It's just how I associate. And like I said, I don't have reason behind them. Like you said, like green, you think of tranquil. And I'm like, no, just Wednesday's green. That's what it is.
It's funny because if I were to picture the days of the week, I just picture a calendar, and to be honest, I don't really like looking at calendars that often. I avoid it pretty much at all cost. Why? I don't know. It just kind of stresses me out for some reason, but they would all be black and in sans font, like very thin print. Like that's all it is to me. Black.
Weird that you say the font, because I almost feel like each day has a different font to me as well.
Interesting. Yeah, it's all the same to me. All boring.
Saturday's Comic Sans all day.
I love that.
But that's a good thought. I never, really, put it into that way. I would say, do you think of like holidays as special colors then? Like when you're like imagining the calendar in your head, like, oh, Christmas is glowing blue because it's a holiday or anything, or are they all just still black letters?
Yep, they are. And if there is anything, it's like, when those like free calendars you get in the mail sometimes where they're like, hey, use these ads for these local companies, that sort of a thing. And there's like a little demarcation on the bottom corner of like, hey, this is a new moon, or we remember this holiday. That's how I picture it. I'm just going through my mind is just like going through the calendar when I was a kid, opening it up, being like, oh, Thanksgiving's on November this day this year. Noted.
So what about you, Steph? Did you give it any thought?
Oh,
Are there any
I'm
colors
trying.
coming to your head?
There's some colors, but I keep like changing back and forth between the days, or I'm like, it could be. I guess starting with Monday, I guess like red.
Rage.
Yeah.
That's fair.
No, but yeah, I don't know, like a red, but not like a deep bright red. They're more like, I feel like they're more, not pastel, but like definitely more muted.
Sure.
Not as bright colors.
Desaturated.
For me. Yes, there we go.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say they're bright for me either.
Interesting.
No, it's good, yeah.
Yeah, so like a red Monday, Tuesday being like a lighter blue, Wednesday being yellow.
Wednesday's green, Steph, you're wrong.
Thursday was my green. And I'm struggling with the weekend because I don't know, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm kind of...
Are they sparkle maybe? Glitter?
Colors. No, they're just kind of like neutral. But I wouldn't say like black, white, brown. You know, I don't know. Yeah. They're just kind of...
They're there.
It's the weekend.
It's an amorphous one.
Yeah, but I just can't, like, I can't picture a color for them. For Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I could. Okay. Not the weekend.
To stay with the talk of the days of the week real quick, it just popped in my head. Do you visualize, if I told you to visualize Monday through Sunday, do you start, well, first of all, do you start your week visualization-wise on Monday, or do you start it on Sunday?
No, Monday's the start.
Monday, yep, absolutely.
Interesting.
It's always Monday for me as well.
I hate in the U.S. that we start on Sunday.
What?
I hate it.
No, it's Monday for me too.
Well, I would prefer it to be Monday, but since my brain has been like conditioned to see Sunday as the beginning of the week since I was born, that's like how I do it. Like it's Sunday.
I'm a teacher, and like, to be real, I don't follow, like, I know I'm supposed to, but I don't ever introduce my student. I don't introduce like, okay, today's the second day of the week. Like, I don't do that, you know?
Right.
Because I don't see the kids on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's
whatever.
Fair.
But every other country, I swear, does it on Monday.
They do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When I actually picture the week in my head, each one is a perfect square.
Yep.
It starts on Monday and it goes to Sunday. But it's weird because like I picture Monday directly like in front, and then Tuesday slightly to the right, Wednesday slightly to the left, and then kind of as we get through the week, it more shifts, but it doesn't shift each day. And I don't know why. I don't know how to explain it. Again, that's part of the synesthesia of it all. But yeah, I think that's how I picture it.
3D model kind of a thing where like there's something in front of something?
No, it's a 2D plane, I would say. And it's a side scroller. Like it starts on Monday.
Oh, okay.
I kind of have it made it like once I'm trying to walking, like Wednesday's at the end of the screen. I'm walking there. As soon as I hit like Wednesday, Thursday, then it shifts over. And then like the weekend's like weekend is dead center. Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all dead center.
Interesting.
Weird.
So wait, does your calendar, you just said your week starts off with Monday, but if the weekend's in the middle, how does that work?
What do you mean if the weekend's in the middle? Oh, like on a physical calendar?
Well,
no, in my head it's the same all week. Regardless if the first is on a Thursday or a Tuesday or something like that, it's Monday through Sunday in my head all the time.
And like it's all in one line.
It's all in one line. Yep, it's just one linear.
Like, I get what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Like it's more, it starts way left, even if the first is starting on a Friday. Like you're not looking at only 2 days on a line.
Absolutely. And then so one more question to stay in the month, and then we'll switch to a different topic on calendars. How do you visualize a calendar in your head? Because I have a weird, very specific way I visualize my calendar. And I actually heard people talking about this on TikTok, and I was like, oh, other people have a weirder way to visualize a calendar in their head than I do. So some people will visualize it like, okay, they're just looking at all the days in their head. Like if you were to open up, a big desk calendar where you can see all the months in one square, and then they zoom in on one month.
That's interesting.
But in my head, I start with, this is going to sound super weird. So if I was to picture the entire calendar in my head, January is on the right-hand side and it's at the top, and then goes January, and then February is below it, and then March is below that. And then we go to the left and we have April, May, June, July, August, September, October, and then November's above October and December's above November. So it's this long U shape.
Interesting.
But January's on the right, and December's on the left. And I don't know why. It's always been that way since I was a kid.
That's pretty bizarre. Because, like...
What? I'm so confused.
It almost feels like you like almost learned a different language to begin, because I know, like, in Japan, they start everything on the right-hand side. So they would naturally associate, like, the first of things being in the top right-hand corner. But since we learned English, I associate the months starting in the top left-hand corner and then just kind of going down in, like, a grid uniformly.
Left to right or up and down? Like, is it January, then February's underneath it, then March is
No,
underneath
left
it?
to
Or...
right. Yeah,
Okay.
left to right. Mm-hmm.
Steph, do you, like, if I told you to picture January, like count from January to December in your head, are you going left to right? You going right to left? You going
Just
up
the
and down?
months, or like
Yeah.
like visualizing a calendar itself?
Either or, I guess. I assume it'd be the same, but not. Yeah, don't
If
visualize a full overall calendar, but count, like, if you were to go January, February, March, April, May, like
they just go top down.
top
All
down, straight
12.
down. Okay.
Straight down. January, February, March, April, May, June. Yeah, it's just boom, 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 like a list.
Okay. See,
If
we all
you
have
tell me
different ways to do it.
Yeah, if you just tell me that.
Super interesting. Okay. Well, this, I'm glad we're discussing it. I hope the listeners also have weird ways to
wait,
talk
I want to
about it.
share a fun thing. This is a little sidetrack, but since we're talking about the months,
Sure.
Here's a fun fact for everybody and our dear listeners as well. If you are confused and don't want to have a calendar, or if you don't have a calendar near you, but you want to figure out what days of the month have either 30 days or 31 days,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, minus February, give or take, because February is a little different, depending on if it's a leap year or not. If you put your hand in a knuckle, like a fist, you know your knuckles, how they go up and down.
Yeah.
So you start with your index knuckle. That's January. It's got 31 days because it's raised. Go in between the knuckle and the divot, in between the knuckles. That's February because it's got less days.
Okay.
Go up on the knuckle, the top, in the middle for your middle finger. That's March. It's got 31 days. The divot in between the knuckles, that's April. It's got 30 days. Then you keep going on and on.
Interesting.
I don't want to burst your bubble, but that's how I learned how to do the calendar in kindergarten.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But that's always stuck with me. So
Yeah.
I learned
never
that too.
learned that.
No, that's what I figured.
Oh, you
Some
never
people,
knew that was a thing?
No, absolutely not.
Oh.
Some people don't.
No, I've never heard of that thing. Like, my teachers didn't use a lot of like shorthand like that to teach concepts. It was very like by the book curriculum. Like, we're going to show you this on our prepackaged calendar thing we bought at the teacher's store.
So your teachers were unoriginal and lame.
Yeah.
I just kidding.
No, you're good. So yeah, mine are very visual based because of like when in kindergarten we learned everything by like looking at the bulletin board and pointing like a different pointer and the different things, and like there was like a big arrow we could put, one of the participants in the class could like pick up the arrow and then put it on the spot and that kind of a thing.
All right, Sam, what's the next one?
So the next one I don't have any association with, so I'll ask if you guys do. It's called grapheme color synesthesia, which is essentially that letters of the alphabet and numbers have colors associated with them.
Oh, interesting.
In my head, numbers and letters are black, and that's just how it's always been.
No.
And numbers and letters always go from left to right for me, like, and it's a straight line. So A is at the left-hand side, and I just go through it, and then I get to Z, and like that's it. It's always been a straight line. Same with numbers.
And
I don't know. That's how it's
though.
always been.
No colors at all?
No colors. Black. 100% black.
That's interesting.
What about you?
So mine is always going to be left to right for a lot of these visualization things, just because I was an avid reader back in the day. I think that has to do a lot with that, to be honest. And like I said, I associate a lot of the things with like the bulletin boards in my classrooms, and always the alphabet was always like a certain font. Like, I can picture in my head, it's a
Helvetica
serif font because it's got little like curly Q things, and it's like bubbly and cutesy, and it's always in rainbow. Like, and then it just keeps repeating. So like A is red, and then like B would be like yellow. No, but like primary, like 5 for colors rainbow. So like red, yellow, green, blue, and then that's it. And then it would just keep repeating it.
And the example I'm seeing here, sorry, before I get to stuff, this one is talking about, this is from a book, The Frog Who Croaked Blue, Synesthesia and the Mixing of the Senses by Jamie Ward. And it gives a list, like Jacqueline sees colors this way and Mary sees it this way. And it's so interesting that people see it differently. So like in this case, each letter has a different color associated with it.
Interesting.
For different people too, for both people. Like they each have each color.
So it could be like you're saying, like A is always red because they might associate with apple, right?
Right, yeah. So in
Things
this
like
case,
that.
Jacqueline is A is red, B is deep blue, C is yellow, D is brown. In Mary's case, A is light green, B is indigo, C is dark violet, and D is dark brown. It's just weird that people see things differently. Steph, do you see numbers or colors in any sort of fashion besides right to left? Or left, right,
So
sorry.
I work with the alphabet every day because I teach reading to kids.
Sure.
So, it's funny enough. I actually, when I think of the alphabet, I don't think of it left to right.
Interesting.
I think of it in terms of flashcards.
Oh, that's
more
fun.
because I'm constantly, in a way, flashing the letter.
Scandalous.
Well,
sorry, bad joke. I know.
No, it's funny. But it is. It's like, when I think of A, it's just like A. It kind of like flashes and pops in my head more so than like scrolling. If that makes sense. It's more of like it's definitely a pop. I don't see really colors with it. I think it is definitely just like black as well. But it is definitely like A and then like B, and it's just like a
Are they always capital, or is it capital and lowercase, or lowercase?
Oh, it's mostly lowercase.
Yeah, same here.
Interesting. It's always uppercase for me.
Oh, I hate uppercase letters for some reason.
My dad only writes in uppercase.
I know, and it drives me
so it's something I've always associated with it. I don't know.
I always see lowercase because, especially because I work with English language learners, we want to most often use lowercase letters because they're going to recognize those faster because they'll see them more commonly. We still teach capital letters, of course, but when we work, we use mostly lowercase. So I think, I mostly see the lowercase letters more so.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the next one, this is probably one I think I'm going to pass through pretty quick. Next one on this list is chromesthesia, which is what you were saying earlier, color hearing. So being able to hear, when you think of noises or sounds or music, you see colors, shapes, landscapes, textures. I don't do that. Maybe when I listen to music, like maybe in my head is like playing like the LimeWire like background, like
right, or Windows Media Player, like the wave coming in and out with the pitch
or if
and
I
stuff.
Can associate a music video with it. I think I'm watching the music video in my head while the song's playing. But other than that, I have zero chromesthesia.
The biggest thing that I do is, I think this is a very Tumblr post written out, but it is like you hear a song, and I can so clearly as day put an AMV together in my head,
so good.
Or like I can like visualize a whole scene. And there's been a lot of accounts where like people hear a song and they can think of a fan fiction and then they write out that fan fiction. Have you not heard that before? Like, and people write that all the time in their author's notes and fan fictions. They're like, hey, I was listening to this song and it inspired me to write this fan fiction because it just like went along with it. So I wanted to write it out because it was in my head.
That's so funny. Well, actually, now that you say that, I'd never put the 2 and 2 together that, of course, other fanfic writers would do this. But the famous one is that Stephanie Meyer got inspired by listening to an MCR song, and that's how she wrote the entire Twilight Saga.
That's interesting. But I don't really like see color all that much. Well, I guess it just like very rarely depends. I wouldn't say all the time, but in terms of music and like listening either to the sound of the music or the lyrics, depending, I'm definitely like visualizing different characters in my head. That's a for sure thing.
Nice. Yeah. What about you, Larissa?
I'm very similar to you, where like if I happen to have watched the music video, that's probably what I'm picturing in my head.
Right.
But most of the times it's just vibes based.
What do you mean you guys aren't having like wars going on in your head when you're listening to
Naruto fighting Sasuke all the time?
Right?
Yeah.
How are you not imagining that stuff?
I'm just enjoying the beat. Yeah.
We're living two different worlds.
Absolutely.
So I found after scrolling further on this article that apparently the one I was talking about with the days of the week and the months, it's called spatial sequence synesthesia.
Oh, that makes sense. Absolutely.
And there's all these different examples, and it's so crazy what people like. Some people visualize it as like a ring. Some people visualize it in the U shape. This one that somebody's showing, it's like a straight line and then it drops down like a roller coaster and then loops back up. And it's really crazy. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's how I picture the calendar in my head. If I'm not like thinking of like, okay, picture a calendar. If I'm going through the months sequentially, that is kind of how it goes for me, is like I go left to right January, and then December is in like a bottom corner, like
kind of like
diagonally below it. Yeah, exactly. And then I move my little imaginary meeple guy all the way back to January.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So next one is, I think, another big one for people besides the days of the week is subjects in school.
Yes. I remember this being a big trend on TikTok for a while.
I remember we talked about it in school all the time, and I think to the point where
there's
we never
fights
really
about
had a
this.
lot of those fancy book covers. So you got your
the
books,
stretchy
everybody got the
ones.
math one, you had stretchy ones. I don't think, one, I liked them because you couldn't draw on them, and two,
True. I mean, you
they were just a little
could
bit
if you
more
were me.
expensive than like getting cardboard paper,
Right,
construction paper or
sure.
whatever.
Absolutely.
And so I covered mine always in construction paper or white construction paper. That
Mhm.
way I could draw on it more. But I always wrote the subject in the specific color that I associated with.
It's funny.
Science, just like Wednesday, is always green. Science is green.
Oh.
100%.
Mine is my science is also green.
Steph, what color is your science?
Green.
You never want to ask a lady what color her science is, but green. So okay, so the science is green. Math is red.
Yes, agreed.
Red, okay.
Sometimes yellow, depending on if I had enough colors of folders associated with different subjects. Because like sometimes I would only get like the red folder, yellow, green, blue, and sometimes there wasn't enough purple. So then I would just kind of have to rotate for different subjects. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I could see math. Yeah, red, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. History. I'm always with yellow on history.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I don't have a reason for it. Unless, like you said, like it was preschool and I saw it on the board,
Right.
History, I guess, is more orange for me.
Orange?
Interesting.
Okay.
Red, again. Just because I had to rotate those primary colors. So
Fair enough.
I usually double backed a couple subjects.
Okay. English.
Blue.
English.
See, that one's yellow for me.
Interesting.
I hear that a lot. I do hear English. There's always two for me, and I hear a lot of people say yellow. I say blue. Again, like baby blue.
Mm-hmm. Oh, mine's like a royal blue. Blue.
Okay.
Like primary
See,
saturated blue.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm an English teacher. I just can't imagine blue for me.
Interesting.
I see yellow because I'm just like, oh, yeah. I don't know.
So those are I think the 5 main ones. So math, science.
You're forgetting arts.
History, English. Yeah, but okay. So art's not like a subject. Art was one of the special ones. So you had gym,
debatable.
art, computer science, like
that's
computer
controversial.
class, library.
Nuh-uh.
I'm just talking about what I had growing up.
Nope.
Art was once a week thing. So was gym. So was computer. So was library.
Still, it had to have a folder associated
Art
with it.
I think art was just a slew of colors. Like when I think of art in my head for school, I think of like
all the
this
colors.
explosion of literally all the colors like melding together.
Interesting. Yeah. Mine's blue because blue is my favorite color and art is my favorite subject. So
That's fair. So for foreign languages, I took French in grade school and high school, and French was always orange.
Okay.
See, for me, French would be blue because I took French in high school. But,
interesting.
But Spanish is red for me.
Okay.
Because I did Spanish red, French blue.
Yeah, Spanish is like a dark red for me. If I think of Spanish, I never took it, but Spanish would be dark red.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine's red or yellow.
Red or yellow. Okay.
You know
that
what?
Makes sense, yeah.
I changed my art one because I kind of agreed with you,
Nope,
Sam. But
it's against law.
No, but like I think of it as white because
okay.
Because we use a lot of colors with paper is always like provided for art.
Blank canvas.
I could see that. Yeah, blank canvas. That feels more fitting.
Fair. Yeah, because I never associated so growing up we went to grade school in the 90s and early 2000s, so we had art, gym, library, and computer class. And computer class consisted of typing and playing Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego and creating an email address and weird things. Wait,
you created an email address in your computer class?
Yeah, roast beef 78.
No, we were never allowed to do that. A school email was provided for us, and if you wanted to do anything personal, you had to do that at home and create a personal email.
So 4th grade, we made email addresses, and there was email your friends something you wanted to say in class. And we never used email. We always thought who's gonna use email? This was at
that's for adults.
When email was starting to come out. Yeah, this is for people that work and old people. And then AOL Instant Messenger started coming out, and I remember my brothers had it because they were a little bit older. And I think I got it in 6th grade. My mom let me, which
that seems appropriate.
Feels too young, but
I mean, as long as because AOL, you could go through the friend list, and if you notice someone weird on there you didn't recognize.
I don't know. Man in his 50s said he wanted to hang out. He said he was really good with kids.
Yeah, but you had to say no.
Did you say you thought at the time email is too old for 6th grade or to what?
Larissa said it was too early to get an email. I said AOL Instant Messenger. I feel like 6th grade was too young to have.
Oh, too young? Well, that's better because you should see the kids now. All they do is
oh yeah,
TikTok,
they got
Right.
phones and TikToks and
Yeah.
Snapchat and all that crap. Wow, we sound like curmudgeons.
We sure do.
Health was just, again, health. Like all those other like random subjects were just kind of blank. I think gym almost was like gray or silver in my head for some reason, but the rest of them, no color associated with them.
Huh. Well, health was always yellow because, like, especially in high school, where you had to take an actual health class, my notebook was yellow. So
okay, interesting. So that was specifically, I guess, based on the colors of school subjects, and I think there's a technical name about that. But probably back to just the color. What did I say it was called? Like grapheme color synesthesia or chromesthesia or something like that. There's so many of these.
There sure are.
So this one I think is very interesting. This might be the last one I cover really quick. And it feels like this is a subject I could talk about all day, but I feel like I'm blanking on other ones that are important. So if I forget any, let me know. This one is called Synesthesia.
Okay.
So it's word association kind of with shapes, but more or less you have to have a visual in front of you, and I like say which one of these sounds like this and which one sounds like this. So in this example, I think this is a really funny example. There are these two bubbles, essentially like splats.
Sure.
One is all jagged lines, like a bam, like it's gonna say bam on it.
Oh, this is the Kiki and Booba thing.
Yeah. So
sorry.
in this one,
excited.
it's sharp lines, and it's like imagine like a comic book, like saying wham or bam, something like that. And then the other one's like a splat, like
it's an organic shape.
Yeah, more round edges. It looks like a throw up kind of thing, but they're both all gray. One's sharp edges, one is round edges, and it says of these two images, would you name, I think it's Booba, and which Kiki? And it says, according to the study, the K sound is a harder sounding name, so it goes with the sharp angles, and B is a softer, rounded sound, so you associate with the round ones. And I think I've always done that. Like Kiki, yeah, that's the edges. That's the sharp triangle. Booba is the round. That's what it says. Booba.
No, I know.
Not Barb or Brenda or something. It's Booba.
No, I always heard it Boba, but
this one has two O's. So.
Yeah, well.
So do you guys do that? Like if I was to draw like a triangle, a circle, and a square, and I said, hey, which one of these is Mike? Would you be able to associate Mike to one of them?
I just have never heard of this. So
Really? Never?
No, never.
Wow, that's so funny. Well, funnily enough, my Psych 101 days are coming back, and this is something we definitely went over in our psychology classes of like associations with like words and shapes and things, and that's something that like they've studied on like babies for a very long time, and they're just like saying like wondering how those associations translate from like infanthood to adulthood, and it's really fascinating.
Yeah, very so I guess I would not have given you one.
It's okay.
I just never heard of it.
Well, yeah, it's more of a visual thing you have to see, like I said. Like I have a picture of it on my computer. I could send it in the Discord, but
Mike is a triangle. I stand by that.
Mike is a triangle, yeah, absolutely. Here, Steph, I sent the pictures that they associated with in the website in Discord.
Yeah, I figured like I imagined them, but right. I can see it for sure. I just like have never heard of this concept. Think about it,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't see like the shapes like that often, so I'm kind of like,
The only one major one that I missed that I don't think any of us have is lexical gustatory synesthesia, which is essentially tasting words, smelling words, kind of like that. Like when you smell something, like
I guess I never really thought about that, but if I had to like imagine it, the only things I would associate with a taste would be like taste words, like sweet. I can imagine something like a candy. I'm eating a candy. So it'd be sweet, something savory. Yeah, but other than that, like if you just gave me a random word that wasn't associated with a food, like wood, I can imagine what it would taste like, but I don't automatically go to, oh, I'm going to eat this word.
Right, yeah. When you're reading, you're not imagining each one. I do think that, though. Like, if you said Chipotle, I'm like, oh, okay, I can taste each individual delicious, magnificent, perfect bite in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you said wood, I'm like, yeah, I can imagine touching it and, what it feels like and knocking on it and stuff, and if I was to bite in it, how it would feel. But when just saying the word wood, that's not what I'm imagining.
Yeah, exactly. And also, fun fact, I know this is your podcast to host, but I learned that, and maybe this is just an old wives' tale, but the reason why you can imagine what inanimate objects taste like are because when you're like when you're just putting everything in your mouth, you are in essence tasting these things. And so that like core memory of that sticks with you in adulthood, and that's why when you can like look at things you're like, oh, I can imagine what that tastes like. It's probably because you licked it as a child.
Yeah, it's kind of along the lines of like, so you have the 5 senses,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's additional senses that you have based on more like receptors and like surroundings and ideas. There's so many. Vestibular, I think, is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Temperature is technically like an additional sense. Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
could associate with feeling and touch, but not really. You are
Hmm.
absorbing the temperature, you feel it inside. So yeah. So this was Sam's Science Corner
Woohoo!
today.
Which is definitely
Ooh.
green.
Yes, Science Corner is green. Yep, absolutely. I think that's gonna be the name of the episode, is Science is Green, or like Monday is Blue, or something,
There you
something
go.
along these
Yeah,
lines.
absolutely.
Do you guys have anything last minute to do with this that you wanted to say? Thoughts, prayers?
No, I liked it though. It made me think. I was like, what do I do?
Yeah, it's definitely something I always think about whenever I hear those words, like, oh, the week. So I'm like, okay, there's colors,
Yeah. It also makes me wonder what the difference would be, because the biggest problem with science is that it's so Western focused that like what would happen if you were to speak to someone who grew up in like a country in Asia? I imagine it would be like completely different.
Yeah.
Sam, you know what I just thought of? I feel like I associate color more with months than I do day of the weeks.
Oh, okay. Do you have any examples?
Like I know December for me is like a light snow blue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely,
Winter.
absolutely, yeah.
And like March is a pale green. February's pink. Always.
Oh, for Valentine's Day.
I feel like
cute.
it's just April's kind of like, I think orange, and May is like yellow.
Huh.
No, I lied. June is yellow. But like I feel like those came more easy to me than the days of the week. I really had to think about the days of the week.
No, I totally get that. And I think there's repeats with mine, like December and January both blue. Yeah. February is probably like pink or red because of Valentine's Day. March is green because of St. Patrick's Day. April's like black. I don't know why. There's zero reason. May I think goes back to maybe green because of, I think, emeralds, their birthstone. Mm-hmm. Maybe I associate that. So yeah, I don't know, things like that. And then September, October, November are like yellow, orange, brown.
Absolutely.
Fall colors. Yeah. Thanksgiving colors.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Anything last minute for you, Larissa, besides the other countries?
Yeah, I just really hope that one day we see some more research about that. It'd be really fun to, I don't know, it's a little quirk of the human brain that like we don't really talk about unless perhaps you're using substances of some sort. Usually you don't have that sort of conversation in everyday life.
That's fair. That is fair. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for listening. I hope you were able to participate along with us. I hope you were imagining your calendars, subjects, and songs in your head and associating with colors or whatnot. If you have a really weird way that you do one of those, like specifically the months maybe, or the days of the week, or numbers, let us know. Draw us a picture of it and tag us on social media. We'd love to see it. The goofier the better, obviously, if that's really how you visualize it. Speaking of social media, you can post it to our Twitter or Blue Sky or Reddit, which is Shifting Tones Pod. You can find us on Instagram. Haven't been posting a lot there lately just because we don't get a ton of traction on Instagram, mostly Twitter, Reddit, and Blue Sky kind of thing. But individually, that's where the real party happens, at Spiffy Steffi, at Larissa.Schaefer.
Hell yeah.
And at Sir Captain Sam. Again, thank you guys so much for listening, and we are shifting on out of here. Bye.
Bye.